The morning sun had just broken over the horizon, casting a soft golden light across the quiet roadside diner. Steam curled from coffee cups, and the low rumble of engines filled the crisp air. The smell of fuel, bacon, and leather lingered around a group of hells. Angels bikers who had stopped for breakfast. They looked tough, the kind of men people cross the street to avoid. But beneath those leather vests were stories no one ever asked about. Their laughter echoed against the chrome of their motorcycles, until a piercing, desperate cry shattered the morning calm. Everyone turned. A tiny figure in a red dress came running across the parking lot, her boots slipping on the cold pavement, her light brown hair flying behind her. Her face was streaked with tears and dirt, her voice cracking with fear. "Please!" she screamed, pointing back toward the road. "They're hurting my mama. Please, somebody help her!" The group froze. The sound of her sobs was so raw, so human, that even the engines seemed to fall silent. A couple of truckers near the gas pumps turned to look, but no one moved, except one man. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, in people who still step up when the world turns away, then stay with us. Because what happened next will restore your faith in humanity. The man who stepped forward was Mason Cole, a broad-shouldered biker in his late 30s, his jacket stitched with the red and white emblem of the Hells Angels. He'd seen a lot in life: fights, betrayal, blood, but never a child like this. He dropped to one knee, steadying her trembling hands. "Where's your mama?" he asked, his gravelly voice softened with concern. The little girl could barely speak through her tears. She pointed again, down the two-lane road toward a cluster of old trailers half hidden by trees. "They're beating her," she sobbed. "Please help her." Without a second thought, Mason rose to his feet, his jaw set. "Tank rider, and with me!" The three men swung their legs over their Harleys. Engines roared to life, tires screeched, and they tore down the road, dust swirling in their wake, leaving the diner in stunned silence. Inside, one of the other bikers wrapped the shivering girl in his leather jacket and sat her by the window. She watched, wide-eyed, as the red taillights disappeared into the distance. For 5 long minutes, the road stayed quiet. Then faintly, and the sound of chaos drifted back. Angry shouts, a woman's cry. The roar of engines cutting through violence. Mason and his brothers had found the trailer. Inside, the scene burned into their memories forever. A man, drunk and furious, had a woman cornered against the wall. His fists were already bloodied, his voice slurred with rage. A sliver of sunlight slipped through the cracked window, lighting her bruised, swollen face. Before he could strike again, boots hit the floorboards. Mason grabbed the man's wrist mid-swing, twisting hard until the bottle in his hand shattered on the floor. The other bikers pinned him down in seconds. No words, just action. Mason turned to the woman, his expression softening instantly. "You okay, ma'am?" he asked, his voice trembling with controlled anger. She nodded weakly, tears streaming down her cheeks. Outside, faint sirens began to wail. A neighbor must have called it in. When the police arrived, the bikers didn't run. They stood in the yard, calm, hands raised, the little girl clinging to Mason's leg. The woman, Carla, stepped forward to explain everything. The man was her ex-boyfriend, recently released from jail, who had tracked her down that morning. When officers led him away in handcuffs, Mason crouched beside the little girl, Hannah, and said softly, "You did good, kid. You were brave." He walked her back to his motorcycle. She sat on his lap, clutching a helmet far too big for her small head as they rode back toward the diner under the rising sun. By the time they returned, a crowd had gathered, truckers, travelers, locals, men all waiting to see what had happened. When they saw Mason carrying the little girl unharmed, and her mother walking slowly behind, bruised but alive, every conversation stopped. The world seemed to fall silent. Carla, her voice shaking, thanked the bikers over and over. "I didn't think anyone would come," she whispered. Mason looked at her, then at Hannah. "She made sure we did," he said. The diner's owner came out with blankets and coffee, quietly offering them. One by one, the Hells Angels removed their jackets and draped them around the two, a gesture so unexpected that even the police, still standing nearby, looked away in quiet respect. The patch on Mason's vest caught the light as he knelt down beside Hannah once more. "You take care of your mama now, all right?" he said. "You're her little guardian angel." Hannah nodded, her tiny fingers gripping the edge of his sleeve. News of what happened spread fast. By lunchtime, half the town had heard about the little girl in red and the bikers who didn't hesitate. Strangers stopped by the diner just to shake their hands, to thank them for stepping in when others froze. Mason wasn't a man of many words, but when someone asked why they'd done it, he simply said, "You don't ignore a cry like that. Doesn't matter what patch you wear. Some things are just human." In the weeks that followed, Carla and Hannah began to rebuild their lives. The local community pitched in, furniture, groceries, even a small apartment in town. And every Sunday, a few bikers could be seen parked outside, checking in, bringing food, or just sitting quietly at a diner table with coffee and the laughter of a child echoing nearby. Months later, when spring returned and the frost was gone, Hannah ran up to Mason outside the diner, holding a crayon drawing, a row of motorcycles, a little girl in red, and a man kneeling beside her. "This is us," she said proudly. Mason looked at the picture for a long moment, then folded it carefully and tucked it into his vest. "That's going with me wherever I ride," he said. "If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to Kindness Corner, because sometimes the toughest hearts hide the deepest kindness. And before you go, tell us in the comments, what would you have done if you were one of those bikers?